In the last class we have started a new chapter that was reflection of light. The chapter is light, and we were discussing reflection of light. So what is reflection of light? Just revising what we have learned in the previous class. So reflection of light means the bouncing back of light in the same medium. So when a ray of light falls on any medium, it returns back to the same medium. And I explained you what medium means. The path through which it travels is called the medium, isn't it? So we discussed the reflection of light. Then we discussed the types of reflection, and there are two types of reflection. The two types of reflection were regular reflection, and the other one is your irregular reflection. So in irregular reflection, what happens is the ray of light, after reflecting back, it goes in all directions, and this is your irregular reflection, isn't it? So we discussed about regular and irregular. Another difference between regular and irregular is, in regular, for a regular we need highly polished or smooth surface, and for irregular we need, irregular reflection takes place in rough or diffuse surface, isn't it? And we also discussed it is because of the irregular reflection that we can see things around us. It is because of the irregular reflection that we see things which are around us. So it helps us to see, okay, whatever is around us. So further continuing, so we'll be discussing about the important terms related to reflection of light. Okay, so some of the important terms related to the reflection of light. So the first term that we know, this is the surface through which the reflection occurs. Okay, the surface through which reflection occurs is called reflecting surface. Okay, so let us assume here it's a mirror. So what do we assume? It's a mirror. Okay, the reflecting surface here is a mirror. Now a ray of light comes from a source and strikes this mirror. Okay, it strikes the mirror. This ray of light which comes from a source is called incident ray. So what is your incident ray? The ray of light which comes from a source and falls on the reflecting surface is called incident ray. Okay, after striking the mirror at a point, it reflects back. This is called the ray which reflects back. Okay, the ray which reflects back after striking the mirror or the reflecting surface is called reflected ray. Okay, and the point where the incident ray and the reflected ray meet is called point of incidence. Okay, the point where the incident ray strikes the mirror is called point of incidence, and then it reflects back. The reflected ray is called, the ray which reflects back is called reflected ray. Okay, we draw an imaginary line between the incident ray and the reflected ray, and we call it normal. Okay, so what is a normal? Normal is a line drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface. Okay, normal is a line which is drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface. Now you can see it very well that the normal forms two angles, one with the incident ray and the other with the reflected ray. Okay, the normal forms an angle with the incident ray, and the normal forms another angle with the reflected ray. The angle that normal forms with the incident ray is called angle of incidence, and the angle which the normal forms with the reflected ray is called angle of reflection. So angle I is called your angle of incidence, angle R is called your angle of reflection. Okay, so these are the very important terms which are related to reflection of light. What are they? Incident ray. And what does incident ray means? It means the ray which comes from a source and strikes the reflecting surface. The point where the incident ray and the reflecting surface meet is called point of incidence. Then from the same point the ray reflects back, and that ray is called reflected ray. Then we draw an imaginary line, okay, the line which is the line which is perpendicular to the reflecting surface is called normal, and the angle formed between the incident ray and the normal is called angle of incidence, and the angle formed between the reflected ray and the normal is called angle of reflection. So did you understand? I hope you all understood the important terms related to the reflection of light. Now we're going to be discussing the laws of reflection. Okay, so we'll be discussing the laws of reflection, which is very important. Laws of reflection. So there are two laws of reflection. The first one being the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are always equal. Please note that the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection is equal. Okay, so whatever value would be for angle I, it will be the same for angle R. Say this is your angle I and this is your angle R. If angle I is 30 degree, your angle R will also be 30 degree. It should be 30 degree. Okay, not more than that, not less than that. If it has to follow the laws of reflection. If the light is reflected back, then remember that the angle of incidence will always be equal to angle of reflection. Okay, so angle I, whatever would be angle I, the same value will be for angle R. Another one is the incident ray, the reflected ray, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal. Okay, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal all lie in the same plane. So what does this word plane means? Plane means any flat surface. Any flat surface is called a plane. So the incident ray, the reflected ray, the normal at the point of incidence, they all lie in the same plane. That means this is your incident ray, this is your reflected ray, this is your normal, isn't it? So this is your reflected ray, this is your incident ray. They all lie in the same flat surface. Okay, they lie on the same flat surface. Okay, so they are on the same side of the reflecting surface. So they lie on the same plane. Therefore, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal all lie in the same plane. This is your second law of reflection. So please remember these two laws of reflection. Okay, it's very, very important to know the laws of reflection. So the law of reflection says the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection is always equal. Another one is the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal all lie in the same plane. Okay. Now for this, you can try it for yourself also. You can do an experiment where you can keep a mirror in between. Okay, a plain mirror. Then you can light a torch or any source of light which would come from here. You can just make, it has to be a pitch dark room. And then what you'll notice is after striking the mirror, it will reflect back like this. Okay, it will reflect back like this. And you can draw the line and you can draw a normal here. And you can measure this angle, both the angles. What we'll notice is this angle and this angle, that is your I and R, will be the same. So you can try this experiment yourself at home. Okay. And see if you get the same angles or not. But you're supposed to get the same angle. If not, then there might be some error because in your arrangement or your setup. Okay, so today we learned about the important terms related to reflection, which are your incident ray, reflected ray, point of incidence, angle of incidence, and angle of reflection. And then you learned about the laws of reflection. So the laws of reflection would be the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are equal. The angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are equal, and the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal all lie in the same plane. Okay, so we'll end the class for today. We'll continue with the same chapter in the next class. Till then, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.